Dear friends, English literature, Elizabethan and Jacobean drama, The Merchant of Venice by William Shakespeare, short questions with answers, short questions 8 to 15. Question 8, describe the scene of the choice of a casket by the Prince of Morocco. Answer, many suitors come to Belmont to win Portia as a wife but go back without trying their luck because of the hard condition that the successful suitors would never marry all his life. However, three suitors do come forward to enter the contest. The first to so is the Prince of Morocco. When he is to choose the right casket, the B examines the motto, which is inscribed on each casket. The golden casket carries the inscription that he who chooses it shall get what many men desire. The silver casket bears the inscription that he who chooses it shall get as much as he deserves. The lead casket carries the inscription that he who chooses it must give and hazard all. He rejects the lead casket because it offers only a threat. He also rejects the silver casket on the ground that the choosers deserving might not extend so far as Portia. Then he looks at the gold casket and says that the whole world desires Portia and that suitor come from all the four corners of the earth to kiss this shrine. So he chooses the gold casket. When it is opened, there found a human skull with a written piece of paper in its empty eye. It proves that everything which glitters is not gold. The prince then departed in great sorrow and despair. Question 9. Describe the scene of the choice of casket by the Prince of Aragon. Answer. When suitors come to Belmont to win Portia as wife, but go back without trying because of the hard condition that the successful suitor would never marry all his life. However, three suitors do come forward to enter the contest. The Prince of Aragon comes to do so after the failure of the Prince of Morocco. While choosing the casket, he examines the inscription on each casket. The leaden casket bears the inscription, "Who chooses me must give and hazard all he had." He rejects the leaden casket on the ground that lead is a base metal, and he cannot risk his all for the sake of such old lace lead. The golden casket says, "Who chooses me shall gain what many men desire." By many, he means the foolish majority of people who judge things by outward appearance and cannot see into the heart of things. The prince hates to be classified with the foolish majority of the people and rejects the golden casket. He then passes on to the silver casket, which carries the inscription, "Who chooses me shall get as much as he deserves." This appeals to him. His high positions and high offices should go only to those persons who possess the necessary qualification and have the required ability. This idea appeals to him so much that he chooses the silver casket. On being opened, this casket is found to contain the picture of a blinking idiot. Thus, the Prince of Aragon fails in the test. Question 10. Who wins in the contest of the casket? Answer. Bassanio proves to be the winner in the contest of the casket. He chooses the right casket by arguing that outward appearance should not be relied upon, and that external decoration generally misleads human beings into making all kinds of mistakes. He rejects the gold casket because gold is something gaudy and may therefore prove to be deceptive. And he rejects the silver casket because silver is a medium of monetary transactions among human beings and nothing more. He chooses the leaden casket, which threatens rather than promises anything. Having the courage of a soldier, he chooses the leaden casket, which holds out a threat rather than a temptation. Question 11. Thou laws upon laws, how is it true to Shylock? Answer: Shylock's daughter, Jessica, has behaved in a most unfilial manner. She has brought disgrace and dishonor to her father by running away from home with a Christian man while she herself is Jewish. She has stolen away a good deal of her father's ducats and jewels in her flight, and Shylock has to incur further loss of money by sending out his man to various places to find the runaway daughter. Thus, Shylock has become a double loser. So when Shylock hears from Tubal that, in spite of vigorous search, no trace of Jessica could be found, he burst into sorrow, thou loss upon loss. Question 12. Describe the trial scene in The Merchant of Venice. Answer: when Antonio failed to repay the loan within the period of 3 months, Shylock was demanding a pound of flesh to be cut off by him from Antonio's body. On knowing the facts, Portia sends Bassanio to Venice with enough money to offer to Shylock to withdraw his demand for a pound of flesh. But Shylock does not agree to accept the money. When the Duke of Venice invited an eminent lawyer, Valerio, to decide the case, Portia contacts Valerio through a letter and manages to get from him a letter of recommendation for the Duke of Venice. Having got this letter of recommendation, she disguises herself as a man and puts on a lawyer's clothes in order to take Valerio's place as the judge in the case, because she has hit upon a plan to save Antonio's life. As a judge, Portia first appeals to Shylock to show mercy to Antonio and appeals to him to demand any amount of money that would please him and not to insist on a pound of flesh. But Shylock does not relent. Portia then says that the bond allows him a pound of flesh and does not make any mention of blood. As it is impossible to cut off flesh without bleeding, Shylock cannot fulfill his desire. Thus, Portia saves Antonio's life, adopting a male disguise. Question 13. Does Shylock get any revenge in The Merchant of Venice? Answer: Shylock comes very close to getting his revenge upon Antonio when the judge tells him that he is entitled to a pound of Antonio's flesh. Shylock feels exalted and jubilant at this time, and he had even begun to sharpen his knife. But then the judge tells him that in the process of cutting the flesh, he must not shed any blood, because no blood has been mentioned in the bond. Thus, Shylock is unable to get any revenge because he is deprived of the opportunity to take his revenge upon his enemy. Question 14. What kind of man Antonio was? And so Antonio was the princely merchant of Venice. The interest of the Merchant of Venice centers around him, and he is unquestionably the hero of the play. His character has been summed up by Bassanio with great insight. He is one in whom the ancient Roman honor more appears than in any that draws breath in Italy. Antonio is a Christian who is very kind and large-hearted. He hated the Jews and lent money gratis. His bosom friend was Bassanio, who was a fortune hunter. For the sake of his friendship, Antonio goes to great lengths, signs the fatal bond, and stands on the verge of death. The whole of the trial scene is rendered holy by the tender breathings of his friendship of Antonio. At last he was saved by the sagacity of Portia. Question 15. Write a note on the ring episode. Answer: the ring story is a minor affair in The Merchant of Venice and does not carry so much weight as the bond or the casket story carries. But it shows I repeat it, but it shows how our promise is broken under pressure of circumstances and when we have to do what we want to avoid wholeheartedly. After the marriage of Bassanio, Portia gives him a ring which he is requested not to part with at any circumstances. Bassanio assures her to keep the ring like a part of his body. Gratiano makes the similar promise to Nerissa when she gives him a ring to put on his finger always. But after the trial, Portia and Nerissa want to prove how far their husbands are true to their oaths. When the young lawyer and his clerk demand their rings as a sort of reward, they hesitate to offer the rings and remember their promises to their wives. Even Antonio requests them to give their rings to the lawyer and his clerk for service they have rendered in the court. So, most reluctantly, they give them the most valuable rings. When Portia and Nerissa reach home, they want to see the rings, but they are put to the highest shame and situation when they fail to produce the rings. After some time, Portia and Nerissa make the whole situation clear and all of them are happy again. Thank you friends for watching my video.